So on Finch, Doogie, what is now that we are well past the time that he was named the head coach of the Wolves? What is the real timeline then? If he was indeed negotiating with the Timberwolves, I take it didn't all occur in the second half of the Knicks game on that Sunday night. What's the real timeline now for what transpired?
I mean, I don't have the exact hours and dates, but yeah, I mean, everything didn't transpire that Sunday.
But I love
Judd.
the fact that Gerson picked up the phone at halftime. He's like, I'm going to make a change. Hey, is Chris Finch there? Toronto Raptors. Yeah, can I talk to Chris Finch?
Yeah, it's classic. And you know what? This talking point won't matter if in a year we're talking about the Wolves being a winning organization, that Chris Finch has proven that he's an excellent head coach. But yeah, it's a no-no, an unwritten no-no among head coaches that you just don't do that. That's why we haven't seen something like this since 2009 when Lionel Hollins, took over an existing NBA team after being an assistant coach elsewhere. We just don't see this. Coaches just don't do that to one another. But I'm telling you, if they find a way to win, not with this current roster, but they make some changes, whether it's leading into the trade deadline, March 25th, or in the offseason, if Chris Finch proves his worth, we will never remember this conversation. I will tell you this much. I had a nice one-on-one with Finch on Tuesday. We talked for about 20 or 25 minutes. I like him. We had fun. The first question I asked him was, as we get to know you, what about you will surprise us? And his response was, I'm funnier than maybe people think. I have this, rough exterior on the sidelines. You look at me and you might see, that guy is rough, but he goes, I'm a pretty funny guy. So then I come back with, well, if I talk to your wife, will she think you're funny? And he goes, well, I'm divorced. And we started laughing about that. He ended up telling me he got divorced on Valentine's Day. I don't know if it was this year or last year.
Wait, is that when the paperwork was finalized?
Well, he just told me that was
the notice was delivered.
I didn't dig that deep, Phil, but he told me he got divorced on Valentine's Day.
Negotiations for the divorce month before, but he didn't tell people.
Let's make sure.
And
it's
again,
on
I don't know if that
Valentine's
was a couple weeks ago or if that was 5 Valentine's days ago, but he told me February 14th is a really bad day in his life because A, divorce, and B, the only time he's ever been fired as a head coach was he was coaching a team in Germany back in 2005, and they fired him on Valentine's Day. So he just said February 14th is just not my favorite day, but he talked to me about he loves being on the water, loves being at a beach bar. We joked about how good a frozen margarita would sound right now. So there's some personality there. I don't know how much we'll see of that in the Zoom, pregame or postgame news conferences. But I like him, and I've heard he can coach. I don't think there's any debate that with some roster tweaks, maybe some major roster tweaks, but there's some chops there, X's and O's, out scheming the opponent. I think the man has a really high basketball IQ. The one concern I've heard is how will he connect on a personal level with players? But hey, Ryan Saunders was the ultimate players coach. That was never an issue at Ryan, and Ryan didn't win. Not necessarily Ryan's fault. Leading into the New York game and then post-New York game, they had played 8 consecutive games where they lost by single digits.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Finch takes over. He's now 0-5. If you look at going back to the Washington game Saturday, Phoenix Sunday, then last night, they've been blown out now 3 consecutive games. I can't remember. I don't know how closely you guys watched last night's game, but at one point last night, they turned the ball over 6 consecutive possessions. I swear, I'm trying to avoid hyperbole, but going back my 24 years of doing this, I can't recall watching an NBA team turn the ball over 6 consecutive possessions.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is right now.
The 2 biggest red flags that I see right now, and it doesn't even include D'Lo just being unavailable and injured. That's another red flag. The 2 biggest red flags I see are Ant Edwards doesn't seem to have a great feel for what he should be doing. He's wildly talented. Obviously, he can get to the rim. Why are you shooting 1 for 10 from downtown? Stop shooting threes at some point. And so his awareness just seems a little bit off. And then the other thing that I think is even a bigger red flag is Karl-Anthony Towns is back. He's healthy. I get that it's been an impossibly hard year for him, but he's here. He's engaged. He's on the team. He's playing every night, right? And they're getting smoked. I just feel like not that he should be put in the same sentence as Kevin Garnett, but Kevin Garnett played with some pretty ratty rosters over the years too, especially the last couple of years with the Timberwolves when it was like KG with Ricky Davis and a bunch of young guys, right? And Mark Blunt. And you know what? Those teams would fight on a regular basis because KG wouldn't allow them to lose multiple games by 30 points, right? It just kind of feels like, I get that you're not going to finish 500 with this roster and with a coaching change, but Kat, why does your team, this is your team, why does your team not show more fight against the Hornets? Like the Hornets, they're not a train wreck anymore, but you can't get smoked by 30 by the Hornets on Kat's watch. That bothers me, Doogie.
And the Hornets were down Devontae Graham. Now that's opened things up for LaMelo Ball. But yeah, like you look at Charlotte's roster and you look at the Wolves roster, like there shouldn't be that big of a separation, not just for one game, but the totality of what we've seen so far this season. Cat has to stay out of foul trouble. He commits so many dumb fouls.
Jim Pete pointed that thing out because he had 3 pretty quick last night.
He did.
He had at least 2 really quick, and then a third one.
And then he picked up his 4th pretty quick there.
Yeah, in the second half.
Yeah,
Third
early
quarter.
second half. Yeah,
You're
early
right.
third quarter.
Yep.
So he has to find a way to avoid all the silly fouls. But it's not like he has a great reputation with the officials. Like anything close, like they're going to blow the whistle. He even told us a couple post games ago that he's done complaining with the officials. Now, we'll see if that's true. But I think he realizes he's gone too far for years, just complaining about every single call. Like in his mind, he's never once committed a foul.
Yeah.
But I still think when ranking issues with the Wolves, even with everything you just laid out, Phil, Cat's still not anywhere near the top of the list. Edwards, certainly, that is concerning. That is very concerning. He has to attack the rim. He's going to become a better finisher at the rim. I mean, he's not finishing at a high clip right now at the rim, but I do think eventually some of those shots will go. He'll get some more and one opportunities, but like he has every reason to be shooting at least 5 to 6 free throws a game. Like get to the free throw line. Stop settling for that outside shot. And too often that outside shot just looks so flat. Like he wasn't a good outside shooter last year at Georgia. He's not all of a sudden going to be a good outside shooter in the NBA. Like do what you're good at. Attack the rim.
Yeah. By the way, Dwayne Wade was never a great 3-point shooter. 16 years in the NBA, was never a great 3-point shooter. But Dwayne Wade was so great his first 2 or 3 years, just getting to the rack and free throws. And he played kind of a running back football style, and it worked for him. And Dwayne Wade is the one that has kind of come out and said, listen, I think this guy can be a better version of me. Well, to do that, you don't take 10 threes. Like, get to the rack and use your athletic abilities to score points that way. So,
on Wade, though,
my soapbox.
Take his comments with a grain of salt because Tom Crean is his guy. Crean had Anthony Edwards, so I wouldn't necessarily buy all into what Dwayne Wade said about Anthony Edwards. But let's also remember Anthony Edwards is reclassified. He won't turn 20 until August. Same, by the way, for LaMelo Ball. So LaMelo Ball's as young as Anthony Edwards is. But, Dwayne Wade played multiple years in Marquette. So maybe the smarts will come, like the basketball IQ. I talk about Chris Finch having a high basketball IQ. Anthony Edwards has so far to go when it comes to having a high basketball IQ.
It's the problem is the habits, though, and you don't want them to start now, and nobody corrects them.
And that's going back to my point. We do this every Thursday, going back many weeks. What have I said multiple times? That my concern is that Edwards can't reach his full potential here because of that very reason, Judd. That there's a lot there to unearth. I still think he has a bright future, but can he really maximize his potential in this environment?
So, Dukes, what's next now? Like how much of the current construction of this team works with what Finch wants to do? Are we potentially, as the deadline approaches, looking at more trades? What's the next step now for Gerson and Chris Finch?
The trade deadline is March 25th. I tweeted some people. I talked about this on the podcast too, but it gained some steam this morning when Shams from The Athletic said, hey, the Wolves have trade interest in Aaron Gordon and John Collins of Atlanta.
Yeah, and we've known that for...
Yeah, especially Aaron Gordon. I mean, pre-injury, he's now down with an injury, but he should be back before the trade deadline. But I'm actually told pre-injury, the Wolves made a new offer to Orlando. I don't have all the specifics. I know it wasn't D'Lo. The Wolves didn't include D'Lo because you can make a logical case. Orlando could use a guard, like get out from underneath D'Lo's contract, D'Angelo Russell. But I'm told D'Angelo Russell was not in those talks. I don't have the specifics, but I'm told the Wolves made Orlando an offer for Aaron Gordon.
Well, then what would you do?
His injury.
What would you do with Jake Layman then?
Well, he would probably be in the deal, right? Like, who cares, right, Phil? I can't see your face, so I'm guessing you're chuckling. I can hear the laughter.
He was very concerned.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about him. I wouldn't worry about Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Like,
yeah, that was fun.
If you need salary filler, you ship those guys to Orlando if they're willing to take, Culver. Would you offer them a future first round pick with lottery protection, or at least top 10 protection or top 5 protection? Maybe that's something to look at. You're not trading Anthony Edwards. You're not trading, at least right now. I would, but they won't do it. They're not putting D'Angelo Russell on the table, but that's a name to watch as we get closer to March 25th. I do know this. People close to John Collins view this as a great situation if it ever could actually happen. They just love the idea of John Collins playing with Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
That Collins could really maximize his potential playing next to a big man like Cat. But John Collins wants max money. Is he a max player? And frankly, if you look at what the Wolves can offer Atlanta, like, it's nearly impossible to come up with a logical trade match. Like, they don't want Malik Beasley, I don't think. And Beasley's been the Wolves' best player this year, but I don't see that happening. Like, it's hard to see a match between Atlanta and Minnesota. But the Wolves are pursuing a power forward. Let me add on Russell. I presume he'll be back here in Minnesota at some point, but remember, he had the surgery about 2 weeks ago now, like 15, 16 days ago, whatever it was. In New York City, the Nets team doctor did the surgery. I was told he was then heading to Miami. So my understanding is he's currently in Miami, not here rehabbing. So you want to talk about red flags? Why isn't D'Angelo Russell here rehabbing? Why is he in Miami? And again, I'm positive he'll be back here at some point. Like, he's not going to do the full rehab in Miami, I don't think. But the initial plan at least had him
Are you done with
in Miami.
Mackey, you
I
done
don't
with
know.
this?
I don't know what. So I don't know what they at some point they just have to sort of move on to the next thing. Like, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be off the roster, but he can't be like a key guy that he's not your Batman or your Robin. Let's put it that way.
No, and I mean, there were red flags on him even going back to the pre-draft process. Remember, he came to town. He had dinner with Flip and Milton Newton at 7. There were some things, even like literally the moment they picked him up at the airport.
Bad service?
The person who picked him up at the airport. There were different red flags. Just put it that way. There were red flags even back then. I think Flip, I know for a fact, Flip liked him as a player. Mm-hmm. He wasn't going to take him at 1. He took Cat. But there were certainly some character question marks.
Can you give us a little taste here? Can you give us a little something?
Something happened with the driver that picked him up at the airport. I remember that, Flip had mentioned something on background way back when that something happened, and if you're a draft prospect, just, bite your lip, keep your mouth shut, just, don't say a word.
Gotcha. So,
maybe it was overblown, but like, if you're D'Angelo, just keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything. But hey, I still think, there's an elite shot creator there. There's an elite shot maker. It's not like he's a train wreck of a player. Chris Finch told me the other day that he feels like he can unearth a little bit more playmaking, that D'Angelo is a really good passer. We just haven't seen much of that. And let's remember that D'Lo and Cat have played together for a total of 5 games, only 4 this season, the 1 in Toronto last season. So, let's give a little bit of leeway to D'Lo. Let's see what he can do with Cat for a sustained run.
Doogie, rapid fire scoops here. We'd love to hear about the Stephen Weatherly contract and also anything you have on the Zach Parise fallout, the benching, the scratching from yesterday.
Well, on Parise, I look forward. I'm actually talking to Bill Guerin later today, so I will bring that up. I don't know how much he'll divulge, but I think this just goes back to Billy wants to get out from underneath the Parise and Suter contracts. And so, is this another step in trying to make that happen? Is this now an open invitation to other general managers to call Bill and say, okay, like, you made Parise a healthy scratch. Okay, how can we work out a trade here? Now, the Wild would have to take back all sorts of money, obviously, but I think Billy would love, if he could, to move Zach and Ryan. They have the no trade clauses. Ryan isn't waiving his no trade clause, but I think Zach, for the right scenario, would be open-minded to waiving the no trade. I presume Zach will be back in the lineup tomorrow, that this was just a one-game ordeal. On Weatherly, I've been texting with Steven. We're going to do a Zoom here. He was working out. What did he say? He goes, I'm training. I'm free after 11:30 Central. So I'll connect with Steven here on a Zoom in about 45 minutes or an hour. But we were texting. He confirmed a 1-year deal, max of $3 million, base of $2 million, signing bonus $500,000. You can also earn $500,000 in incentives. I have the incentives right here. I don't think this is out there. So tweet it away if you want, Declan, at Score North. If he hits 3 sacks, $100,000. If he hits 5 sacks, $200,000. If he hits 7 sacks, $500,000.
Cool.
So those are the incentives. Very easy. So, if he gets to the 3 sacks he got to in 2018, he also had 3 sacks in 2019, he'll earn an extra $100,000.
Nice. Darren Doogie Wolfson, inside information about your favorite Minnesota sports teams, 5 Eyewitness News, and the Scoop podcast.
Thanks, Doogie.
Doogs, good stuff, man.
Absolutely. Take it easy, boys.
All right, so we'll say goodbye to Doogie here, and we'll keep it here to shout out our friends at Wham-A-Tack. That's right. If you're listening or watching on a broken down phone, tablet, or laptop, maybe it's time to break down and get a new one. You don't have to break the bank, though. Wham-A-Tack can help you out, and they are a trusted supplier of pre-owned cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and also new accessories. They source pre-owned devices directly and pass the savings on to you. Whamatek.com. That's Whamatek.com. Also, our friends at Federated, they've been helping business owners for over 100 years. That's why Federated Mutual Insurance Company is such a trusted resource for business owners. They've also recently launched My Shield, the online client destination for risk management resources. How helpful would it be as a business owner to have employee training at your fingertips, industry resources that can help your business reach another level of success? That's where Federated comes in. Federated Insurance, click on My Shield or download the app. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Boy, that was a great Scoop session. Inject that right into
Except the
my
basketball
veins.
talk just makes me more depressed about the state of basketball. I mean, can't somebody be halfway decent?
Dude, okay, so Royce's been tweeting about this. A couple interesting things here, okay? This is a tough crossroads for the Gopher basketball team. And I agree, like Richard Pitino, I'm so biased. Like, I used to host the coaches show. He was one of the first people to text me when my mom died, like early in the morning a few years ago. And so I like him a lot. I think he's a good dude. And I think he's done some good things. I think he's a good coach, and he'll land on his feet somewhere. It's clearly not clicking here now.
Yep.
And it just feels inevitable that a change is going to be made. Royce floated this interesting scenario while we were talking to Doogie. And I don't know if he's getting this or if he's just sort of speculating on something.
Reckless speculation.
Bored in Florida, basically, is what you're saying?
He could be bored in Florida.
I mean, he goes to Florida, he gets bored, he starts to tweet up a storm. It's actually enjoyable tweet, so I welcome it.
That's great.
He's just bored.
So he says, he references the San Diego State tandem for years. So Steve Fisher. Steve Fisher was also the Michigan coach for the
Final
Fab
Four
Five,
team
right?
in '89. Yes,
Yep.
and the Fab Five.
Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher made the head coach in waiting formula work for years at San Diego State. San Diego State's been a really good sort of second-tier Division I basketball program.
Okay.
Perhaps Brian Dutcher, who's now 62, the son of Jim Dutcher, Gophers coach, perhaps Dutcher, 62, at the start of next season, could make the same thing work here with Ben Johnson.
Oh, I thought he
it's
was going to say Ryan Saunders. Interesting.
I don't think Saunders. See, I don't think Saunders would take a college assistant job. He can get an NBA assistant job, make more money.
I guess my question is, does he want to stay here or not? He shouldn't, but he might want to.
Yeah, and
if I'm him, I go to Spolstra staff or a really good coach's staff.
And they're having a baby, and his family's here. Like, that stuff could factor in.
Interesting.
So he's speculating on that. Now, Ben Johnson is an assistant with Xavier, and so you'd probably have to give him another pay bump to be. Some of this comes down to money, right?
So is Ben Johnson not prepared to become a head coach at this point? Because he has been an assistant coach and associate coach for a while now. He's not new.
I don't personally know. Some people say the answer is yes, but I don't know how you could know because he's never been a head coach before. Some of the guys on this list, like Nico Medved from Minnesota, Eric Musselman, who isn't from Minnesota, but his dad coached the Timberwolves way back in the day, and he was an assistant on the Wolves staff. He's been in Minnesota. And Brian Dutcher have all had successful head coaching runs. And in the case of Eric Musselman, very successful head coaching runs He's like 20-5 at Arkansas this year in his second year after leaving Nevada.
Yeah, he's a very good
So
coach.
I would personally lean towards somebody with credibility as a head coach, like someone who's been to the tournament and who's coached winning teams in college basketball. Brian Dutcher at 62, that feels a little like, obviously it's not a super long-term thing, but how many stints are like when you hire a 35-year-old, you're not guaranteed that guy's still going to be the coach in 8 or 10 years.
No,
So
but
if he's the best coach, I don't care if he's 62 years old.
no, but in Coyle's case, I think that the one thing that we have to go on probably for a big time hire for football at least was PJ Fleck. So small sample size alert here, but there might be a potential, and this is just fine, that he doesn't want to go 62. That, you know, if I can find a guy
Sure.
like Johnson, who is what, 40?
Yeah,
or
he's like
around
I think he's
40.
like 40, yeah.
So that to me might be more of what he's trying to find. Here's what I want, because I don't think that this is a huge ask now. The last 20 years, basketball in this state has changed greatly. I mean, 30 years ago, you produced a player. You're like, oh my God, Minnesota, Jefferson's got, Kevin Lynch. It's unbelievable.
Minnesota's a freaking
It
hotbed.
is a factory now. Okay. Here's what I want from the new coach. And here's where I want the Gopher basketball program to firmly plant its feet and be now. Because I feel like this was the thing with Pitino and local talent. And it's two-pronged. Number one, I understand that if you produce a huge big time player, the Joneses, right? I get that those guys are often going to look at Duke or Kansas or Kentucky or something and leave. I totally get that. But we got to a point in the last 5 to 8 years where we were like punting and like, oh, he's not coming here. No way. Every once in a while, I'd like to at least be competitive.
Yeah.
To say this kid is a NBA talent. He might be one and done, but you know what? You're competitive because you're a Big Ten program. You should be. And the second thing, and this is where Pitino failed the most, and this has cost him, is there's this second wave of what turns out to be big time talent that you can't whiff on consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids would probably jump at scholarships here. Like absolutely be, oh my God, yes. And then they develop into really good players. So those are the two things. Every once in a while, when there is a Tyus Jones, there's no reason why you can never get him. And we in our sports fandom here, and this is what drives us crazy, Phil, about every team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, oh yeah, I mean, they tried, it was good, but no way. Why is it no way? And then the second thing is that wave of guys who develop into stars, but you don't know it when they're high school kids. You need to be able to identify and get those kids.
Yes. So there are 13 players listed on the Gopher basketball roster. And I'll preface this by saying, listen, I love going outside the state and finding a Jamal Mashburn Jr., finding a Liam Robbins. Like I am not anti-transfer. I am not anti-go outside the state. Marcus Carr is a Canada kid who went to Montverde Academy in Pittsburgh. Like I'll take outside the state guys.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to building something that's sustainable long-term and a culture and an identity and a core, especially when you have a little bit of a budding hotbed here, is it California? No. Is it, there are other bigger hotbeds. 13 players on the Gopher basketball roster. 3 are from Minnesota. 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this state develops players now a lot. You're right.
I think there might be more Minnesota players on the Wisconsin roster. Let me just pull it up real quick here.
Reavers,
Walt McGorry, Tyler Wall, that's 2.
Maple Grove,
Nate Reavers, Ben Carlson.
Yeah, there's probably 5.
Stephen Krall, Joe Hedstrom went to Hopkins, Brad Davison went to Maple Grove. So, wow, there's like 7 dudes on the Wisconsin roster from Minnesota.
Yes.
More than half their rosters from Minnesota.
Yes.
And again, like Jamal Mashburn Jr., I'll take him. Absolutely. I don't not want Jamal Mashburn Jr. That's awesome.
Yes.
But some of these dudes there's some guys on Wisconsin's team that would look great in maroon and gold and would look great shooting threes because the Gophers can't shoot threes, right?
And just like with football, there is absolutely no reason why we can't be. I mean, it sounds pathetic, but there's no reason why we can't be Wisconsin. Like there's no reason in either sport. Like what's the excuse? What do the Badgers do where you say can't duplicate that?
Yeah. On that front, real quick, Brian Dutcher. So he's 60. He's 61. He will be 62 in October. Alma mater, Minnesota, obviously, and he has spent. This is his career path. He was a graduate assistant at Illinois in the mid '80s. Then he was the South Dakota State assistant in the late '80s. Michigan associate head coach with Steve Fisher for a good chunk of the '90s.
Mhm.
And then he was the San Diego State lead assistant and associate head coach from 1999 through 2017. In his 4 years at San Diego State as the head coach, they finished with 22 wins, 21 wins, above 500 in conference both times. The third year was last year when the NCAA tournament got canceled. San Diego State was 30-2, 17-1 in the Mountain West. And I think they were set to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. And this year they're 14-4, 8-3 in conference, and so they're definitely going to be in the NCAA tournament. But like, ordinarily, I think I would tend to lean toward get a guy in his 30s or 40s. But like, this dude clearly can coach. He's been around college basketball as a lead assistant for 35 years. He's got a Minnesota connection. There's some there, and so I like what Patrick Royce is onto with this. See, I don't know if I want to roll the dice with like. All due respect to Ben Johnson, we don't know if he can be a head coach. We know that Brian Dutcher can be a head coach. He's just a little older. We're not going to be ageist on this show. Okay? Otherwise, Judd wouldn't be on the show.
Yes.
51. Yeah, it's close.
You're spry.
The meltdown of that program this season has been remarkable. And I tuned in again last night, and it was, I believe, relatively close in the first half, and then Penn State stinks
in the last
Penn State,
2 minutes of the first half.
They're playing teams that are absolutely not good.
Yeah.
Nebraska stinks. Northwestern had lost 13 consecutive games, and you are melting down. But I would like to apologize quickly on behalf of major Minnesota basketball to the basketball fans of this state, because you are passionate fans. This is, and we've discussed this on this show 100 times. This is a good basketball state. It's really good. Like, there's a lot of passionate fans here who love the sport. And yes, we identify, because it's almost a cliche with hockey, but basketball can be and should be, and there is no reason why it can't be huge here. And the crap that you have had to endure this winter, I'd like to apologize for it, because somebody needs to. Flipping back and forth between the Gophers and Wolves, it's a gong show. It's an absolute gong. And these are supposed to be people playing, in both cases, at an extremely high, competent level. It's a pandemic. And you basketball fans want enjoyment. Like, just a piece of your day to be normal and to be fun.
Move to Milwaukee.
And you got to watch that absolute garbage last night between those two teams. Literally, as Doogie said, the Wolves and Hornets are going up and down the court, throwing the ball away. It looked like AAU or worse. It is disgusting to watch what has happened to basketball in this town with the Gophers and the Wolves, and there is no excuse for it, because it's gross. It's gross incompetence. That's what it is. Like, it's not people trying hard. Oh, they're trying hard, but they're not.
This is why you made a mistake. This is why you got to save the fever pitch rom-com scouting for when the Gophers and Wolves play now. That's what Declan and I did last night. I'm going
down with the ship. I'm gonna watch this crap with these people that I can identify with them and apologize to them.
That's your personal choice.
Yeah, man.
I
got my demons. You got yours.
Yeah, I got to do it.
Mackey's watching a rom-com on an air mattress. I mean, for God's sake.
I'm a Minnesota sports therapist. That's what I am, licensed.
Speaking of garbage,
oh boy.
We go back every Thursday into the Twitter archives for Old Tweets Exposed. And this edition of Old Tweets Exposed is presented by the Score North app. That's right. We have an app. It's free to download. We've had it for a couple of years, but we're on the verge of updating it with some cool new features too. So you're going to want to have it when we press the update button. But it's awesome as is. And this is Pick Your Prize Month at Score North. So every day between March 8th and March 26th, one person every single day who opens the Score North app will win $100. We're just in a giving mood. That person every day will also be entered to win a $10,000 prize pack from one of our 9 partners: St. Croix Casino, Park Dental, Corona Hard Seltzer, the list of the $10,000 prizes are on the rewards page on the Score North app. So 3 steps. Open the Score North app between March 8th and March 26th. Register and enter the Pick Your Prize contest through listener rewards. People always ask, like, hey, how can we help you guys the most? Where should we be listening and watching? Well, listen and watch anywhere because it all counts for us. But the Score North app is a one-stop hub for all of our content. Purple Daily, Mackey and Judd, also Doogie with the Scoop, and Royce Unchained and Judd's columns. So you can check all that stuff out in one place with the Score North app. All right, Declan, hit us with the bad news.
Old tweets exposed. There's multiple tweets being brought to the table. This is a Zach Parise edition.
Oh, boy.
We will start with Judd Zolgad. This is one of 3 tweets that will be brought to the table.
All from Judd?
What are you doing?
I did this to Mackey. It's your turn. It's your turn.
Great. I love it.
It's your turn. Sorry.
I love it. Judd's turned on Parise so hard.
Wow, I know it's frustrating that he's hurt a lot and a 13-year contract's insane, but the guy is not a bum. Parise in many ways is like Jimmy Butler as far as his style. He's really good when healthy, but his style of play means staying healthy as he ages is difficult.
And now you just want him benched. Now you think he's a cancer.
I think I
in the
look like a
room.
genius off this tweet. It's all true. He's broken down now. I tried to warn you back in when.
Jimmy Butler,
What's the date
taking
on
his
this?
team to the finals with a bunch of has-beens in Miami. But yeah, they're exactly the same. And Zach Parise and Jimmy Butler.
What's the date on this tweet?
2019.
April 2nd, 2019.
You're not a bum. I would
Not
call
a
him bum. A little selfish. A little selfish.
I think you think he's a bum now.
I'll say
think
he's all
kind of a
selfish.
bum.
All right. What's
All
the
right,
next
like,
one?
keep going. Keep going.
Oh, no problem. No problem. This next one. Here's one reason why I like the Wild, and it makes them different
this is
than other
awful.
MN teams.
Get that off. Get that off the screen.
Parise and Dubnyk have a calming presence.
Get that off the screen. Get that off the screen. No. Oh my God. It's from 2015.
That this must have been during like the St. Louis Blues series when they actually won the last time they won a playoff series.
What does calming presence even mean? Like,
I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this.
Dubnyk's just doing yoga in the
I don't
corner.
wanna talk
Like,
about-
Parise's lighting scented candles in the room just to keep everyone.
I don't
want to
talk. I don't want
It's also probably a pregame thought. You tweeted this at 4:49 p.m. So this was a pregame
just
execution.
rifling it off here.
I don't want to. I don't want to do this segment anymore.
Oh, I'm
Amazing. Such a calming presence.
Okay,
Such
that's
a calming
okay.
presence.
Yeah.
Okay,
one
that one, as far as I'm concerned, in the lead for a terrible tweet.
When I think of Devin Dubnyk, I think calm and collected.
Oh God,
Between the
no!
pipes.
1 year later.
You son of a!
Now, this is why you pay a guy $98 million over 13 years. Parise is doing his best Gretzky tonight, although that was a bad goal. I went back and looked. Zach had, I believe, a hat trick in the first period of this game.
In the first period.
Yeah.
Okay, my second tweet's still worse than that.
But
But
look at this. This is why
bad.
you pay a guy $98 million over 13 years.
For a hat trick
Oh,
in a March
God, am I
regular
gonna-
season game.
Oh, I
Dude.
feel so naked right now.
Declan, you have to take a screenshot of that and throw it out on the score accounts. We need people to see this outside of just the show.
Oh, there's a collection of people that would love to see these tweets about Zach.
I gotta
Parise.
say, do you have any other
No, they
ones for
would
us or
because
just for
they'd
Judd?
say, "Oh, I love
I'm done
Parise."
with Judd. You got one, and I have
Oh,
two.
no.
Thank God.
You have one.
Wow. I don't know how you're going to beat the...
No, we probably won't, but we're going to do it anyway.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
look,
Warning.
I put a disclaimer, though.
Puck guy tweet coming. Didn't anyone notice the Parise
Oh!
Pominville Granlund line at the end of last night's game?
Pretty
Pretty solid.
Pretty good. Palmerville.
Parise,
Over to
Palmerville,
Granlund. Back to
Granlund.
Parise.
Fires
He
goes
cycles it wide.
Niederreiter's on now. Back to Spurgeon.
Listen,
Spurgeon.
Cycles goes wide.
Over to Scandella. Scandella to Spurgeon. Spurgeon to Scandella.
Palmerville was still in his prime there, so I'm
That's
confident
true.
that line was
Okay.
pretty good.
Here's Koivu.
Of course, they probably changed the line 3 games later. 'Cause
Now
that's how hockey
Coyle.
works. Why don't why in hockey? Why do you guys need to change the lines all the time?
Because
Just stick with combinations.
gassing and it's very hard to do. It's taxing.
No, I mean like from game to game.
Oh,
Oh, we're looking for chemistry
look for
combination.
chemistry. Yeah,
We're looking for
So
chemistry.
shuffle it
Yeah.
up, get more chemistry.
exactly. Me from February 26, 2013. Zach Parise is fun to watch. The other Wild players are not.
So now now it's the opposite.
Now it's the complete opposite. I don't want to watch 11 at all on this team.
Oh my goodness.
2013.
Yep. And this isn't necessarily a damning tweet. I just found it hilarious. This was the day after they Parise and Suter signed from me. July 4th, 2012. Zach Parise and Ryan Suter sign. Nick Blackburn gets sent down. Things are starting to turn around in the
Wow.
Minnesota sports
Wow,
world.
what a drive-by. Nick Did Nick
Out of
Blackburn deserve
nowhere.
that from you?
Yeah, Phil was friends with him, basically. They talked on the clubhouse all the time.
Blackie
You-
probably had a ERA
Blackie.
near 7 as the All-Star game was coming up, and I was more excited about the Wild.
The Twins had so many mediocre pitchers who were just great guys back then. Dunsing,
Yeah, but
Blackie,
Here comes
Slowey.
Jason Marquis.
Ugh.
Oh, man. Jason Marquis taking 45 minutes between pitches of a spring game.
Ah,
Good
okay, I
guy.
got nailed.
All right, Judd wins that round.
Sorry, Judd.
For sure.
It's not even
It's
close.
exposed.
No, you're not
It's
sorry
down.
at all. You're not sorry. That's the thing. Don't say you're sorry when you're not sorry.
Oh, boy.
That is a wrap on today's Mackey and Judd Reckless Speculation.
I got to go to the
Thursday.
hospital, I think.
Be sure to catch up on Fever Pitch for Romcom Rewind tomorrow.